Kendrick Perkins, Ramona, Shelburne, Malika, Andrews, Chiney, Ogwumike. That was 48 hours ago, Perk. Some MVP performances, though, that went down last night. Let's take a look at one from Joel Embiid against the Celtics. The Celtics were a little bit shorthanded. No Jaylen Brown in this one, no Robert Williams. But Joel Embiid, he showed up and he showed out. So we're picking this up with just under 8 minutes left to play here. Sixers down by 2, but not for long, Chiney.
That is the danger zone right there. High free throw line getting to the elbow for Joel Embiid. He is money from that angle.
And then next possession, once again, James Harden dishing it out to the perimeter, looking for Joel Embiid.
Too small. Too small. We love this shot. The midi.
And he just makes it look so easy, so effortless. So that tied the game. At this point, Boston up 4.
And this is the most lethal play in basketball, the Joel Embiid, James Harden pick and roll. You gotta love it. And where are you? Like, no one was throwing.
Not exactly rolling.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pick and pop. All the same action.
What were you saying about their two-man game?
It's money and one son right there.
And one son. MVP signs are up.
7-footer hitting those. God.
It's unreal. But watch this. PJ Tucker in the corner. Great awareness. Everyone's keyed in on Joel Embiid. He's smart enough to find the corner shot, which is the best three-point shot. And guess what? This guy, he plays with competitive fire. Gotta love PJ Tucker.
And when it mattered the most, he struggled a little bit early, but in the fourth quarter, he could not miss.
He doesn't run from the smoke.
And the threat of him there allows Joel Embiid to get straight to the hoop on this one.
Like what? Come on.
This was a
statement.
often, by the way.
Joel going to work over Grant Williams, dishes it out to the corner. PJ Tucker thinks twice. You know that's good. The Sixers, they roll in this one, 103-101. Now, this was Embiid's third 50-point game of the season. He's the first center with at least 3 50-point games in a season since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and that was in 1971-72 when he had 5 of those games. So, Chiney Ogwumike, what did you see from Joel Embiid?
Let me tell you this, Kendrick Perkins. It is so rare that teams in the NBA run isolation plays for centers, but Joel Embiid is not your average center. Last night, Embiid averaged a ridiculous 1.95 points per direct ISO, the highest efficiency in a game by a player who had at least 20 ISOs since tracking began, 10 seasons ago? For perspective, out of nearly 200 games, he scored the most in isolation. So roll me my tape producer, Jaren, baby, let me show you what it looked like. He loves to do his damage at the free throw line. And watch this, quick move. He doesn't settle. He sees the double team. He doesn't settle for the mid-range, gets the easiest shot, the counter move to the layup. That's the money shot. That's where he wants to go. And speaking of which, we talked about it. When you post up here and doubles, it's very difficult to come from the high position. Everyone's keyed in on you. All right, we got to protect this paint. But watch, that nice little rocker move, explosion with the first step, 15 points per game he gives you in the paint. But this is my favorite part. I told you the most lethal play in basketball is the James Harden, Joel Embiid pick and roll or pick and pop. No player has assisted more to their teammate than James Harden this season to Joel Embiid. He doesn't settle for the 3. He gets to the midi. And by the way, by the numbers, 9 for 12 on jumpers from that position. Here's another crazy stat, though, from Joel Embiid's game last night. He became the first player in the shot clock era, which goes back to 54-55, to score half of his team's points while shooting 80% from the field. That sounds like an MVP if I'm talking about it.
I mean, he certainly was in the conversation, and you know what? His head coach agreed. Take a listen to Doc Rivers after last night's game.
The MVP race is over. I'm really, like tonight, we couldn't make shots. The man just scored half our points in the NBA game. And I'm biased, but the MVP race is over.
Doc and your teammates were kind of pretty much saying the MVP race is over. It should be yours. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't know. They're probably right.
So Joel Embiid, he may have just clinched the MVP award last night, at least according to Caesar Sportsbook. He's now the overwhelming favorite to win it all at -750. And then you see Nikola Jokic and Giannis. They're both tied for second. So his teammates, Doc Rivers, Joel Embiid, they're all doing the Vince Carter. They're saying it's over on this one. But you guys have heard what Doc has to say. Do you think, Ramona, it's over?
I think that was the game everybody was looking for from Joel Embiid, to give them a reason to vote for him. I think people are looking for reasons to vote for Embiid this year, in the sense that Jokic has 2 MVPs, Giannis has 2 MVPs. After the other game the other night, I thought Giannis really played his way back into that first place conversation, not just in the top 3. But when you go out and get 52 points, and they needed all 52 of those points. This is the second time this year he scored more than half of his team's points. His team scored 103. He had 52 of them.
Which is insane.
Insane. And the last time they played Boston, when they did have Jaylen Brown, when they did have more of their players, came down to a buzzer beater. And so this is going to probably be your second round matchup. And I think Joel, in this game, gave you that game. If you're a voter that's on the fence, you're looking for reasons to vote for him, gave you that 52-point game that you can feel good about.
Perk looks like he's percolating on something.
No, I'm not. Let me say this, okay? You know, about 3 weeks ago, I caused a whole lot of confusion. We're not about to dive into that. But I always wanted to know what was the criteria and what we was voting for as meeting the MVPs. And I said 3 weeks ago, it's going to come down to Tatum, Embiid, Giannis, and Jokic for me. And whichever team finished, whichever guy team has the best record, that's who I'm voting for because they always like 2 games apart.
Fair.
And so Giannis is going to finish with the best record. Now, on the other hand, would I like Embiid to win the MVP? Does he deserve it? Yes. And guess what? If he do win the MVP, although he's not getting big perk vote, I will be at his ceremony or whatever the case may be, sitting front row listening to his MVP speech. But can I also talk about this for 1 minute? Can we talk about the relationship Embiid and Doc Rivers have? Is almost like the perfect marriage. When I look at Chiney, when you just went up there with your cheat sheet and you did it so well.
Thank you.
He's catching he's catching the ball at the right spots, right? We talk about the elbow and at the nail and things to that nature. For so long, it was like, oh, put Embiid on the post, which is the easiest spot to get double. So when you at that middle point in those elbows and he have time to operate, all of a sudden he's able to be the best version of himself. So, you know, although I got Giannis, I mean, you know, I'm rooting for Embiid.
Okay, but look at this. I mean,
This is where he operated.
It's wild. 20 of 25, 52 points. And like you said, like, he did not settle. He didn't just, like, fall in love with they're doubling me, it's harder to get to the paint. He's like, I'm going to find my way through. You have to go through it to get to it. What Joel Embiid has gone through is 2 seasons in a row in which he's been second in MVP.
Yep.
I think this was the exclamation point to say, do not vote me second, vote me first. And I think the most important thing to really, when you compare all these things, best player, best team, best record, they're all in the same similar category, right? Like, I believe the Bucks are 57 and 22. You know, the Sixers are what, 52 and 27, and so are the Nuggets.
Yeah.
They're all in the same vicinity. Then we start thinking about who had sensational seasons. Giannis, I think, is averaging his career high too, which is really falling under the radar. But we're seeing a center that is leading the NBA in scoring, 33.3 points per game, second year in a row. Like, to me, to see someone go over these 3-year span, improve in playing more games and also deliver, to me, that's a type of history that is maybe not in the same class as Jokic, because when we talk about breaking down the game, the free throw line is where both of them have done their damage. Joel Embiid has done it with his scoring. Nikola Jokic has done it with his facilitating. He gets the assist from the high post. I don't like to differentiate the two. I like that Joel Embiid has sort of said, this is my time, this is my award.
Right, and this year when we're seeing scoring at an all-time high across the board, there are 2 guys who have had 3 50-point, 10-rebound games. Giannis and Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
And that's why the voters have an incredibly difficult decision. And I appreciate you saying that, Perk, because I feel like whoever does get voted for MVP this year, like, you got to just be like,
wrong vote.
There's no
wrong vote.
It is historically hard to be the MVP this year, I feel. During Nikola Jokic, he struggled in his return to the floor last night. The Nuggets, they fell to the Houston Rockets, and Jokic, he had more turnovers than made field goals, and it was his worst plus-minus of the season. It was a -21. So a huge upset here. And head coach Michael Malone, he did not mince words after the game. Take a listen.
Soft. They dominated us. Kicked their ass on the glass. That's all we talked about all day. That's all we talked about before the game. You know, we had a chance to clinch number 1 tonight. And we talked about it this morning, you know, the opportunity at hand. We definitely did not take that opportunity seriously, because the way we played tonight was unacceptable, playing like that this late in the year. If that's how we're going to play, we'll be out in the first round. Easy.
All right, so since it was your Rockets, Chiney, that got the win, I'm going to start with you here. It's not the first time that we've heard Michael Malone have some spicy words for his team.
No.
What was your reaction?
No, but it is the first time we heard those great words referred to the Houston Rockets. So I have to acknowledge that first and foremost. Great win. By the way, I believe this was their last home game of the season. So you sort of get that abnormal, extra human effort. But yeah, this says a lot about the Nuggets to me, because if they're trying to make history, right, they're trying to win a championship, they're trying to solidify Jokic as MVP and get to the Western Conference Finals, where we expected them being the most consistent team in the West. You can't play inconsistent this down the stretch. You can't come out and beat a Golden State Warriors team without Jokic and then come against the Rockets and then lose. And it was really the fourth quarter, because there are some games where you feel like, all right, I said it before, sometimes you're the dog and sometimes you're the hydrant. They may be like, we're not up for this game, but the reality is when it comes to the fourth quarter, that's when playoff basketball is being played.
Right.
I think they only made one field goal in the first 5 minutes. The Rockets went on a 16-4 tear in that fourth quarter. You can't have that type of effort in the fourth quarter in a game that you want to win, or at least have pride in, especially with the playoffs right around the corner.
Anyone can win and lose on any given night, right? One night, one game does not make or break anything. But when it's Nikola Jokic coming back after having missing 3 games, when you only have so much time to sort of get the tone right before the playoffs start, that's the only thing in the back of my mind when teams are already looking for weaknesses of the Denver Nuggets that makes me go, okay, is there anything we need to pay?
I have been a believer in the Nuggets the whole time, in the sense that they have such depth this year. I don't think they get enough credit for the amount of depth that they've added to that roster. But they've been on cruise control for a while. They've been in that 1 seed for so long. Jokic looked like he was coming back off an injury. The problem for the Nuggets is they have one of the toughest roads through that Western Conference playoffs that you can imagine. In the first round, they're probably going to get the Warriors or the Lakers as an 8 seed. Then they're going to get the 4 seed or the winner of the 4-5 game if they're able to get out of the first round.
Right.
And that might be Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
So what do you get for the 1 seed? Wow.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.